All right, good evening, everyone. Tonight we want to welcome you to the November 26th, 2018 Westminster City Council session, and at this time we will ask you to please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Ms. Parker, if you would, please.
Atchison.
Here.
Bird. Here. DeCambra.
Here.
DeMott.
Here.
Pinter. Seitz.
Here.
Scully. Here.
Okay, first thing I'd like to do is propose a motion to the council to provide an excused absence for Councilmember Pinter, who is out of town tonight and will not be able to join us. Do I have a second for the motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, she has excused. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes of the preceding meeting. Mr. DeMott?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City Council approve the minutes of the November 12, 2018 meeting as presented.
Do I have a second, Ms. Seitz?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Next item on the agenda, Councilor DeMott, if you will, please.
Government conducts an annual digital city survey. That digital city survey takes a look at cities across the nation in different population categories. We're in a population category of 75 to 125,000. The Center for Digital Government really looks not just at one project, not one cool technology project that was put into place, but a very comprehensive view of an organization and how they're doing with technology. And really with the goal of looking for organizations that really align their technology initiatives and projects out of the goals of the organization. So they look at 10 characteristics of digital city. And I'll read those real quickly, what those are. It's open government, transparency, and open data. That's one characteristic. The second one is mobility and mobile applications. The third is social media, portal, and citizen engagement. The fourth is shared services and regional collaboration. The fifth is cybersecurity, what the organization's doing with cybersecurity measures and those initiatives. The sixth is hiring and retaining competent IT professionals, which is very difficult in this business environment that we're in. Broadband wireless initiatives is the next one. Number 8 is IT budget, what we're doing with budgeting, what we do to control cost for the organization, not just in IT, but how we're using technology to control cost. And performance measures, measuring really how we're doing as a department and organization. Ninth is disaster recovery and resiliency and business continuity. So it looks at how we're going to continue to operate if we have a major computer failure or disaster or an organization disaster. And then last, but certainly not least important, is innovation and best practice initiatives. And really, this application process is pretty significant. We submit about 42 pages. So I could stand up here all night and talk to you about the cool projects that we have that are listed under each one of those initiatives, what each one of those characteristics. But the thing that I think is really important to point out is that, and to keep the conversation up here short, the thing that I think is really important to point out is that You know, in 2003, the Information Technology Department put together a strategic plan and documented that plan with a goal of really trying to align what we do with the critical projects that our council has identified and departments have identified. We update that strategic plan on an annual basis. So if you look at that strategic plan, which we publish online, the mission statement in that strategic plan is to drive success in achieving strategic organizational objectives through innovative technologies and solutions. So that's the mission. And our vision as a department is really to be viewed internally and externally as a value-added partner, a leader in technology, and an employer of choice for IT professionals. And as we look back on the characteristics of Digital City and how we're measured, and we see things like regional collaborative initiatives and those partnerships that we form throughout the year, and the way we really stretch what we can do through those partnerships. We look at hiring and retaining competent staff. That's all part of being that employer of choice. When they evaluate innovative and best practices, that really falls right into our mission to be an innovative department, an innovative organization. So I've got to say that I'm just really incredibly proud of the team of IT professionals that we have, as well as those across the organization that have really led this city to a first place award in 2018. And I want to give a shout out to Jody Carroll, who joins us from the Communication and Outreach Division, and the role that they've really played in using technology through to create an engaged community. And that's using social media, it's using our portal, it's using other ways to engage our community. And so that whole category, that whole characteristic of a digital city really falls in this group. And of course, the information technology team that joins me here today, the leadership team, as well as the staff within our department really have helped us to achieve this award. So again, I'm incredibly proud. I think the planning that this organization's done, the support that we've had from the top down, and what we've done with technology, the way technology is embraced across this organization has really led us to a number one position for 2018, and I think this whole organization has a lot to be proud of.
And I'd have to add, as a 20-year IT person myself, and looking at your strategic plan, it's nothing short than amazing. Coming from the private sector, it's pretty amazing what you guys have built out and just your plan. It's actually something that I've even actually stolen a couple ideas from myself. So on behalf of the City Council, the citizens, thank you very much for the work that you guys do. It's nothing short but of amazing. I know that you were recognized at NLC in LA with the City Manager Tripp and the Councilor Sites. So I think it's a great honor, and you know the citizens are grateful to have the team that we have. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The pictures.
Say, IT rules.
That's a fair offer. Thank you, guys.
Well, again, as Dave said, congratulations, guys. This is going to be a nice habit. We hope you just keep coming back every year. We're very proud of what you guys do. Next item on our agenda will be the point where we open up the microphone to the city residents or anyone who has an item that they'd like to bring forward to the city council. This is good for a period of up to, excuse me, for up to 5 minutes. When you come to the podium, if you have not signed up, then we'll ask you to give us your name and your address. When you get ready to start, the little green light will come on. That will start your 5-minute time. Then at 1 minute left, it'll turn yellow, and when your time is up, it'll turn red. At this time, I only have one person signed up. It's Stacy Balcom. I'm good. Good evening, ma'am.
There's a property for lease at the 8700 Turnpike Drive, 5th floor. It is $27,127.50 a month. It's owned by Stephen Tebow Properties. And I would like to take over the whole 5th floor of this building. It's an office building. But I would like to rezone it on behalf of a Colorado Front Range Billiards and 5280 Lounge. with a taste of Westminster dining hall and a gift pro shop. And my intent is to host a new program that's never been done before in the history of Colorado. It's called the 5280/$1 Million Pool Tournament. So it's a beautiful facility for what I like to do. I don't have a full business plan with me today, but altogether it has the potential of earning about $52 million a year. So I'm hoping that you'll consider rezoning it for me. And that's about it.
Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am.
I don't know where.
If you have something you'd like to give it to the city clerk, please. Do we have anyone else from the audience that would like to come forward at this time and have any comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda is a report of city officials. Mr. Tripp.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Happy holidays. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I want to first of all mention that kind of goes unspoken many times. We had people who worked through that weekend, and I want to thank them. All of our departments, had different folks that were working on Thanksgiving. We'll be working through the rest of the holiday season. We really, really appreciate that. I want to recognize our IT department, particularly for standing up here tonight, and I was thinking about trying to, in a way, to compare this, and I think about Super Bowl trophies and Best Picture of the Year and different things in their world, but this is it. This is the pinnacle. They've been in the top 10 in this award many, many times, knocking at the door of actually winning the award, and to have our city now have another gold medal in our chain of great accomplishments of the community. And I say the community because if it wasn't for the overall community of citizens and elected officials and the rest of the employees, it wouldn't be possible, and we congratulate them. And I also want to point out that our IT director's spouse, Diane, is here this evening, and the family members and what they do to contribute to our professionals' work just can't be overstated. And I want to say hi to you, Diane, and thank you for loaning us Dave for all these many years and his expertise. And of course, if you would please, the rest of you gentlemen, tell your family members the same. I want to tonight acknowledge that we have Matthew Munch joining us. Our city attorney is on a well-deserved vacation, and Matthew, thanks for being here this evening. The last thing is, I think all of you know, I just want to announce publicly that on Christmas Eve this year, that holiday, we'll be closing City Hall in the afternoon, and the reason we'll be doing that, so the citizens understand, is that our business during that time is really down. And we have a lot of people who want to travel during that time, so we've decided at 1 p.m. that day, on that eve of that holiday, to close our buildings and have them closed to the community during that time. If people have business that they want to have performed during that time, please get a hold of us ahead of time. We'll make sure, because there will be a skeleton crew working probably in the building during that time. Again, thanks much, Council, for your support. This past year, we have just 3 council meetings left. All important business. To close my comments, after this meeting tonight, we have the second round of an executive session. So if anybody's interested in the conversation that will be had about filling the 2 open vacancies that we're likely to have here soon in 2019, we'll be discussing that as a part of a post-meeting item in that room, our council boardroom back there. But there'll be the continuation of an executive session that'll happen with closed doors on a real estate matter, and that'll happen immediately after our meeting, and then we'll go into open session. So if you're interested in that item, it should only be a few minutes that we're back in the exec session, then we'll open the doors back up and invite you in. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Don. Council comments, Ms. Scully.
Thank you, Ms. And I also would like to extend my happy holidays to everyone as we approach this holiday season. Please be safe out there. On that note, I would like to thank our police department and our fire departments. They worked so hard over the Thanksgiving weekend. There was a lot of activity in the city, and I just appreciate the time that they give to us and protecting us and keeping us all safe so that we can enjoy our holidays. Congratulations to the IT department. Very nice job, and we're also very proud of you. Thank you, and we look forward to receiving it again next year. No pressure. And then I had the great pleasure this weekend of attending the Hmong New Year celebration, which was just, it's so humbling, and such a great celebration. About 300 people came together to celebrate their New Year, and they included us here in the city of Westminster as well. And it was just, it was truly an event to just be honored, and it was such a privilege. And so I just want to thank them for including us, and if you ever have an opportunity to attend, I encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Mr. Canberra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say I'm very excited to be back after being away on maternity leave, and I want to thank my colleagues for keeping me up to speed over the past 12 weeks. Valentina became especially very keen on the mayor, who he calls Herbina, although that's really not her name.
What do you mean it's not her name?
But I really want to thank everybody. And I feel very fortunate to work for an organization that, respects and that supports paid family leave. 1 in 4 women have to go back to work less than 2 weeks after delivering a baby because they don't work for organizations like ours that support that, which now having a child myself, I couldn't imagine having to do. So thank you all so much for the support. And I know I've said this before about our IT department, but I've always known how amazing we are, and I was so proud when I did the program at Harvard with state and local employees from different municipalities. And when we were studying and talking about technology, the case study they used was about Westminster. So today is just another reminder of how amazing and fortunate we are to have all of you leading our IT department. So thank you all, and I'm looking forward to getting back to business. So thank you.
Ms. Syke?
Well, I'm excited to have Councilor DeCambra back, and welcome. We've missed you. I also want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It was a wonderful holiday. I really like taking the time to look back on all of my blessings and being thankful for them. One of the things I think all of us share is that we are thankful for the opportunity to serve this community. I also want to thank our fire department in particular for their service over the Thanksgiving holiday, as we had a very serious structure fire that took multiple days to fully put out. So I know a lot of people worked many difficult hours, including our police department during that. I have to highlight, because I don't know if we have yet, that while the city has won Digital Cities, and we've been in the top 10 for 16 years, is that correct? 16 years this year. This is our number one. We came in first place. Last year, I believe we were 4th or 5th. We're first place in cities our size, and that's a big deal. I've been very lucky to be there to celebrate with the team as they accept their award. And one thing that I've been struck with is how fortunate we are to have people like this IT team serving our city. David, he went through all of the different criteria that was used, and he talked about how it's in alignment with our strategic plan goal, and that's true. It is in a natural dovetail with our strategic plan goal, but I actually think that the different criteria are what we as citizens should expect from government: transparency, engagement, regional collaboration, safety, efficiency, and good high-performance teams, disaster recovery, that's resilience, that's sustainability, innovation. And I will tell you, listening to Director Putney talk about his vision, his ideas, it's really his enthusiasm and passion for his work is infectious. So I just wanted to say thank you again. Thank you for letting me to participate in your moment. You have all been really gracious with sharing your success with the rest of the city, but I do think you should take a little credit. It was amazing to see how many peers throughout the U.S. knew them and would come up and talk to them. So thank you. And lastly, I wanted to mention another thing that I think is part of good governance, and that's our ability to push economic equity through the purchasing power of local government. And tonight you will notice there are a lot of sole source contracts that we're going to be approving. And so I want to let everyone who's listening know that we're incredibly judicious and careful with when we do a sole source contract. And that's a goal of this council, is to make sure that we always go for best value contracting instead of just low bid contracting. So while it may seem like we have a high volume of those tonight, it's because of the time of year and they were thoroughly vetted for maximum efficiency for the city, but also reaching our goals. And finally, I just wanted to also invite everyone to come this Saturday for our holiday lighting. It'll be at 5:30 here at City Hall. It's always beautiful. Our team does a great job. They start before Thanksgiving, setting everything up, so it's quite a treat. So bring the family down.
Other comments from council, Mr. Demott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy holidays to everybody. Welcome back to Mayor Pro Tem DeCambra. It's good to have you back. Two other things events that I wanted to mention to everybody is on Tuesday the 4th, this next week, we'll be having a town hall at Covenant Village at, I believe at 6:30. So if you have questions for us and you want to come join us and other community members, it'll be a good opportunity to come and ask whatever questions you want of council. And the last thing I wanted to mention is another tree lighting on December 6th, which is a Thursday, on 73rd Avenue, just east of Lowell Boulevard. It's the 100th hometown Christmas, and so the tree that they decorate in front of the fire department down there is 100 years old this year, and so that's always a fun event that a lot of us attend, so hopefully we'll see you down there as well.
Other comments from council? We would ask you, as you go about your holiday preparations, I know that some of you may end up in a store, some of you may end up shopping, but I would ask you, please remember to shop Westminster and shop our small businesses especially. So and we continue that. I've been requested by both of the chambers to remind you again to shop Westminster. One thing that was mentioned is the holiday lighting ceremony coming up on Saturday. Folks, traffic is going to be tight. There will be limited parking, so please try to get here early. And when you get ready to leave, please make sure you follow the directions given by the officers, because we're going to try to get everybody out here in one piece. And no tow trucks, if you don't mind. We want to make sure everybody gets out and gets home safely. Anything else from council? All right, nothing else on that one. Move on to the next item. This is the consent agenda. It's a group of routine matters that will be acted on by a single motion and a vote. We have already reviewed these at the pre-meeting. No member of council has asked for any item to be removed. So at this time, Ms. Scully, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the City Council adopt the consent agenda, items 8A through 8C.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and this is a voting with your. If I can get it to go. There we go. All right, now you can try it. And the motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item on the agenda is item 10A. This is a public hearing reference rezoning of Della Villa residential subdivision. Turn it to staff, if you would, please.
Thank you. My name's Stephanie Ashman. I'm a senior planner. Tonight we're meeting for the proposed rezoning and supporting of the preliminary development plan application for Della Villa property. This is also known as Orchard Crossing East, located at 4183 West 72nd Avenue. We'll start by making some entries into the public record. First, the agenda memo and the attachments, and the notice of tonight's public hearing published in the Westminster window on November 15th, 2018, into the public record. Also, staff placed a sign on the property to notify the community of tonight's hearing and the proposed application. So this is the map, the stars indicating where the sign was placed, and a picture associated with it for context. We also had the applicant do a mailing certification stating that they notified all property owners within 300 feet of the property for tonight's hearing. And this is the associated map. I believe there are a total of 57 notifications. So for some context, here's the vicinity showing the existing location of the property. So the most identifiable street being 72nd Avenue running east-west, Tennyson Street just west of the property running north-south, Westminster Gardens, the community gardens east of the property, and the BNSF Railroad to the north. So for some background, this is an existing apartment complex built in 1973 and is an entirely project-based Section 8 housing with the exception of 160% area median income unit. So there are a total of 73 existing units on site. Here's some images of the property. So the purpose of this rezoning application this evening is to align the proposed density with a conforming zoning designation. So currently the site's zoned R3 with a maximum density of 14.3 dwelling units per acre. The existing density on site is 16.36 and the proposed density is 16.59. So the rezoning to PUD allows for the owners to convert the existing leasing office that's currently on site into another affordable and accessible unit. And rezoning is allowable density on the property and brings it into conformance with comprehensive plan land use designation of R18. So currently there are 73 units, that's 11 units over the max density for an R3. And the proposed is 74, so that's 12 units. So that's also over the R3. So as part of rezoning to PUD, we can get this in alignment with the comp plan because it more so aligns with what's actually occurring on site. So as you can see here, the before on the left is the R3 zoning and the after is the PUD, planned unit development. Here's the map for the comprehensive plan designation. So you can see the property is, that's the property that's outlined in the red. So we have standards of approval for rezonings when we're taking a look at rezonings, and that's in section 1153 of the Westminster Municipal Code. We take a look to see that the property is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and all city policies and standards, and also that the proposed rezoning is also in conformance with the existing capacity in the city's infrastructure. So it should be noted that this property is not within the moratorium boundaries, and staff determined that the addition of one unit had little to no impact on the city's existing infrastructure. We also have standards of approval for preliminary development plans, and that's in section 11.5.14. We take a look at, there's a series, so there's 11 total standards of approval when we review PDPs. And staff determined that the application satisfies all 11 of those standards. And some of those standards are, just so that you know, sound design principles, access, connectivity, infrastructure, et cetera, compliance with the comp plan and the codes and ordinances, and the compatibility with the surrounding area so that there are no adverse impacts. The applicant is not requesting to construct any new structures on site, increase building heights, or decrease landscape. However, you will notice that there is a little jog in the property on the western side. So this map is oriented with north to the left. And so this is something that we're adding to the PDP and also has to be part of the rezoning application. And I'll get into that. So this is some aerial photography history that I was able to track back to 1999. However, the property, this little piece has been used by Della Villa for over 25 to 30 years. They've been using a portion of city-owned property for parking spaces for their residents. And council authorized this resolution, Resolution 64 it was, allowing for the donation of a portion of the property at 7300 Tennyson Street for the purpose of providing replacement parking for the Della Villa apartments, originally removed through easement dedication for Little Dry Creek Floodplain Improvement Project in 1985. So that's that big drainage channel that runs through the center of the site. So the city nor the applicant really have great records on finalizing this land transfer that occurred. And so the 5 spaces demonstrated within the PDP and ODP bring the site further into conformance with the parking requirements established within section 1147 of the code. So again, the map's oriented with north to the left. So the required amount of parking is indicated on the red on the table here, or within the site plan. And there's a total of 116 spaces provided. That's excluding this additional portion that we're talking about in the resolution this evening. So getting the 5 additional spaces gets them just shy of 1 space, closer to code compliance. They need 122. They'll have 121. So the purpose of authorization for the resolution this evening is to allow the reauthorization and donation of a portion of 7300 Tennyson Street to Unison Housing Partners for the purpose of providing replacement parking at the Della Villa Apartments. And the property donation will enable the PDP and ODP again to come further into compliance with the parking standards established within the code. So there was a Planning Commission meeting held October 23rd, 2018, and the Planning Commission voted unanimously in support, 5-0, recommending approval. So the purpose of tonight's meeting for the staff recommendation is to hold the public hearing, recommend City Council authorize the requested resolution for the donation of parcel 48A to Unison Housing at no cost, and to authorize the city manager to execute and record a deed conveying parcel 48A to Unison. I recommend the City Council approve the rezoning request to the subject property located at 4183 West 72nd Avenue, owned by Unison Partners from R3 to PUD. This recommendation is based on a finding that the criteria set forth in Section 1153 of the Code have also been met, and recommend the Council approve a PDP preliminary development plan. The recommendation is based on the finding that the criteria set forth in 11514 of the Code have also been met. This meets the city's strategic plan goals in the following ways of creating a vibrant, inclusive, and engaged community by allowing the addition of 1 more handicapped accessible unit into our city. So that concludes my presentation. I have my applicant here this evening. If you have any questions, his name's Stephen with Unison.
Okay. Any questions of staff before we go to the applicant? The applicant is here. You want to come down, sir? For the record, would you identify yourself, please?
My name is Steve Kuncher. I'm the Director of Housing Development with Unison Housing Partners.
One question I had in there, since you're closing off the leasing office, where are you going to do leasing from?
So we had a house just to the west that was used as a group home, and the lease on that expired, and the company decided not to renew. So we've moved our leasing office into that home.
So there is still space for someone to deal with the tenants that's going to be close by?
Correct. We have on-site management.
Okay. Other questions of anything else you want to add to the testimony provided by staff?
No, just thank you to staff and City Council.
Questions of the applicant by anybody from council? Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This time I will open the public hearing to the public and ask if there are any comments or criticisms or questions or anything else that you would like to come forward with on either a position of opposition or a position of support for this application. Seeing no herd coming forward, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, I will open it up to the council. Ms. Byrd, if you would, please.
I move to pass Councilor's Bill number 47 on first reading to approve the rezoning request of the subject property located at 4183 West 72nd Avenue, owned by Unison Housing Partners, formerly Adams County Housing Authority, from R3 to planned unit development. This recommendation is based on a finding that the criteria set forth in Section 1153 of the Westminster Municipal Code have been met.
Mr. DeMont?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Ms. Scully, do you have comments or questions? Okay. This is a, if there are no other questions or comments from council, Ms. Byrd, do you have another comment?
Nope.
Okay. This is a roll call vote. If you would, please, Ms. Parker.
Atchison.
Yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
DeCambra.
Yes.
Demott.
Yes.
Seitz.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm missing one somewhere. Thank you. There we go. Motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item is the preliminary development plan. Ms. Byrd, if you would, please.
I move to approve the preliminary development plan for the subject property located at 4183 West 72nd Avenue. This recommendation is based on a finding that the criteria set forth in Section 11.5.14 of the Westminster Municipal Code have been met.
Ms. Scully,
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion by council? If there are no questions, is a vote with your light, please. And this motion also carries on a 6-0 vote. Ms. Byrd, if you would wrap this one up, please.
I move to adopt Resolution Number 30 to authorize the transfer of a portion of the property at 7300 Tennyson Street to Unison Housing Partners.
Ms. Scully,
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments or questions from council on this one? Seeing none, Ms. Parker, this is a roll call vote.
Byrd.
Yes.
DeCambra.
Yes.
Demott.
Yes.
Sights.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Atchison.
Yes. Motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Okay. All right, guys, go forward and make good. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing regarding 7145 Lowell Boulevard rezoning and preliminary development plan. And we'll make a quick shift here and
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. German, if you would, please go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Councilors. My name is David Gurman. I am a senior planner with the city's planning division. It is my pleasure to be presenting to all of you this evening. The owner of 7145 Lowell Boulevard has made application to the city to rezone its property. As part of this rezoning effort, a preliminary development plan, or PDP, has been created. This document has been included in your packets for your review. The staff agenda, memo, its associated attachments, and the public notices mailed, posted, and published in the Westminster window are hereby entered into the public record at this time. As required by statute, a notice of public hearing sign was posted at the applicant's property, which abuts Lowell Boulevard to the east. The sign was posted near the property entrance, as shown on our photo. Also required by statute, our applicant has mailed notices of this public hearing to all property owners within 300 feet of the property boundary. Here is the applicant's certification of this mailing. And here is a map that depicts the area covered by this 300-foot mailing radius. For reference, you can see the property is located in the triangle created by the Burlington Northern and Santa Fe Railway to the south, 72nd Avenue to the north, and Lowell Boulevard to the east. Here is a more detailed map of the property's location. Immediately across Lowell Boulevard to the east is the Westminster Station Special Planning District. The property owner is requesting a rezoning of this property from M1, which is industrial, to PUD, Planned Unit Development District. This rezoning is needed because the owner wishes to use the property to house a personal service shop, specifically a beauty parlor. Rezoning will properly establish land uses for the site that are in conformance with the city's comprehensive plan, which will make the property and the preferred land use legally conforming. This exhibit shows how the zoning map would be changed by the proposed rezoning. You can see that there is a neighboring PUD-zoned property immediately to the south. This rezoning was completed in 1987 to support a professional office. The planning staff has analyzed this application relative to the required code findings for rezonings and PDPs as follows. Staff has confirmed that the application complies with all of the provisions of Section 11.5.3 of the Westminster Municipal Code. These provisions essentially specify that the application is in line with the city's comprehensive plan and all city policies and standards, and further, that sound planning principles and practices are being followed. We also check to make sure that the application does not propose any development or redevelopment that would adversely affect surrounding properties or uses or overburden the city's infrastructure. As with the previous application, this is also not in the moratorium area. Staff has reviewed this application against the requirements of Section 11.5.14 of the Westminster Municipal Code and found that it has satisfactorily met those requirements as well. Many of the requirements are similar to those found in Section 11.5.3, but this section also delves deeper into areas of review such as access, connectivity, and compatibility. The Westminster Planning Commission reviewed this application at its regular public hearing of October 23rd. After due consideration and deliberation, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of this proposed rezoning and its corresponding PDP document to the City Council. Staff recommends holding a public hearing to review this application, which is what we're doing now, and that the City Council vote to approve both the proposed rezoning and its associated preliminary development plan based on findings that all of the criteria set forth in Sections 11.5.3 and 11.5.14 of the Westminster Municipal Code have been appropriately met. Staff believes that this proposed rezoning, if approved, would allow new business opportunities to flourish, making a positive impact to the surrounding community and meeting the City Council goal of vibrant, inclusive, and engaged community. Thank you for your attention. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Our applicant is on hand this evening if you wish to ask him any questions, but he does not have his own presentation to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. German. Council, are there any questions of staff at this time? Mr. German, as I was looking at the renderings, what I didn't see was ADA access. Has that been reviewed, and are they compliant with ADA access, such as a public utility or use, really?
Well, it's a private business, but the ADA accessibility would be something done through the building division. They did not apply for any redevelopment of the building, so that would not have been checked with this application.
Mr. Downey, can you follow up on that and just make sure, because renderings I saw don't show any ADA access at all. And I can't tell from just those. There may be another route that I'm just not seeing on drawings. Any other questions from the staff? The applicant is here, I understand. Do you have anything you'd like to add, sir? Okay. Any questions from any member of council for the applicant? We can bring him forward if need be. Okay. If there are none, we'll then turn the hearing over to the public. If there is anyone in the audience who would like to testify on behalf of or in opposition to this application, please come forward at this time. All right. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And at this time, I'll ask council, Mr. Cameron, if you would please be two.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move to pass Councilor's Bill number 48 on first reading to approve a zoning change for the subject property on first reading located at 7145 Lowell Boulevard, owned by 7145 Lowell Boulevard LLC, from M1 Industrial District to Planned Unit Development. This recommendation is based on a finding that the criteria set forth in Section 11-5-3 of the Westminster Municipal Code have been met.
Ms. Seitz?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments or questions from council? Hearing none, there is a roll call vote. Ms. Parker, if you will, please.
DeCambra.
Yes.
Demott.
Yes.
Sights.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Atchison.
Yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you. Motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Mr. Cameron, if you would, next one, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the preliminary development plan for the 7145 Lowell Boulevard. The recommendation is based on a finding that the criteria set forth in Section 11-5-11 of the Westminster Municipal Code have been met.
Ms. Scully?
Second.
Second. Okay. You got it, Ms. Parker? All right, this is a vote with your light.
I would just like to see if someone would offer a friendly amendment saying 11-5-14 of the Westminster Municipal Code, please.
Okay. There's a motion for a friendly amendment to move that to reread Section 11-5-14 of the Westminster Municipal Code.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any concern with the maker of the motion? None? Second? Okay. We'll accept the motion as amended. With that, we have a vote with your lights, if you would, please. Motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item up on the on the agenda is Councilor's Bill number 49. Ms. Scully?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to pass Councilor's Bill number 49 on first reading, authorizing the city manager to sign a one-year lease agreement with 4 additional automatic renewal one-year options between the City of Westminster and Fit Physical Therapy LLC to operate a physical therapy business at the City Park Fitness Center.
Mr. DeMont?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion by council on item C10? Ms. Byrd?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to ask 2 questions about this. The first is, how was this tenant selected? And I understand from earlier discussions that the tenant has been operating out of City Park Rec Center for a while. How were they originally selected? And then also, how can we be assured that this is a market rate that is being charged for the lease rate?
Mr. Tripp?
Mayor, I'd ask that somebody from the Parks, Recreation, Libraries Department comes up. The director is here as superintendent, or manager, I should say.
For the record, we have Mr. Jink. Are you going to talk, Jason?
Hello, Mayor and Council. Jason Gank, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Libraries, and with me is Superintendent of Facilities, Tim Lockermeyer. And the first question, I believe, was how was the tenant first selected? And so about roughly 11 years ago, when the Colorado Rapids vacated the facility at City Park, there was a period of time where this specific space was left vacant, and staff had researched sort of, well, what's another way we can get additional revenue opportunities as well as partnerships. So staff at that time researched best practices, and Fit Physical Therapy was an organization regarded in the Front Range with having a good fit with wellness facilities, public wellness facilities, and good partnership opportunities. So they've been actually running out of that facility for about 10 years now. So that's how they were originally selected. And we did also consider criteria in relation to best practices. What added value can they bring to the organization? So they provide a couple of lectures per month for our Silver Sneakers programs and a host of other partnership opportunities. As far as the rate that was selected, recreation staff worked in consultation with economic development to determine what would be a fair market rate for the lease of that space.
How was I understand you consulted with economic development. I'm just wondering how you determined that.
Really, with economic development assistance, looking at the fair market rates for office space, medical office space specifically, also within regards of the location of where the City Park complex is located. Sure.
Other questions, Ms. Byrd? Any other questions from council? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Parker, if you will.
DeMont.
Yes.
Sights.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Atchison.
Yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
DeCambra.
Yes.
Motion is carried on a 6-0 vote. Next item up is Councilor's Bill number 50. Ms. Scully?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to pass Councilor's Bill number 50 on first reading, providing for a supplemental appropriation of funds to the 2018 budget of the General Legacy Ridge, Walnut Creek, Storm Drainage, General Capital Outlay Replacement, General Capital Improvement, and Community Development Block Grant Funds.
Ms. Sight?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any question or comments from council on item Councilor's Bill number 50? Seeing none, Ms. Parkins is also a roll call vote.
Sights.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Atchison.
Yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
DeCambra.
Yes.
DeMont.
Yes.
Motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item is authorization for minister to receive and administer the 2019 Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking. Mr. DeMont.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to authorize the city to receive and administer the 2019 Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Grant in the amount of $347,478 on behalf of the North Metro Task Force.
Ms. Sights?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any question or comments from council on this item? Seeing none, is a vote with your buttons, please. And this motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item up is Councilor's Bill number 51. Demott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to pass Councilor Bills number 51 on first reading, appropriating grant funds to 2019 general fund budget in the amount of $347,478 for the Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Grant.
Ms. Scully.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or comments from council on Council's Bill number 51? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Parker?
Scully.
Yes.
Atchison.
Yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
DeCambra.
Yes.
Demott.
Yes.
Sights.
And the motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item up is a recommendation to the city manager in regarding the task force for calendar year 2019. Sorry. Mr. Demott, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move based on the recommendation of the city manager to determine that the public interest will be best served by authorizing cumulative expenses to the task force for the calendar year 2019 for costs not to exceed $929,507.
Ms. Sights?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item by council? Seeing none, this is a vote with your lights, please. And this item carries with a 6-0 vote. Next item up is adoption of resolution number 31. Ms. Byrd?
I move to adopt Resolution Number 31 to authorize the Community Development Department to apply for a Denver Regional Council of Governments Transportation Improvement Program grant and authorize the city manager to sign an affirmation for its submission to pursue funding for Sheridan Boulevard multimodal transportation improvements.
Ms. Sights?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or comments by staff or council? Again, this is a continuation of us trying to seek funds to mitigate some of our transportation issues that we have with a bottleneck at 88th and Sheridan. Many of you have heard us talk about the pedestrian and bikeway tunnel and also potentially a bus tunnel underneath Sheridan, hoping to get pedestrians off that crossing at 88th and Sheridan and make it a much safer place. So this is, again, we're applying for some matching funds. If it's granted, the city will have to make a portion of it, but some of this will become federal dollars that's going in for us. So we're, again, hopeful we can get some funding out of the Dr. Cog money. Any other questions or comments on this from council? Not as a roll call vote. Ms. Parker?
Atchison.
Yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
DeCambra.
Yes.
Demott.
Yes.
Sights.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Council, this is also a 6-0 vote in favor of the motion. Next item up is adoption of resolution number 32. Ms. Sights?
Thank you. I move to adopt Resolution Number 32 to authorize the city manager to sign the intergovernmental agreement with the city and county of Broomfield for cost sharing for design and construction of a railroad crossing quiet zone at the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway crossing of West 112th Avenue.
Ms. DeCambra?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on resolution number 32. Any questions or comments from council? If not, Ms. Parker? Roll call, please.
Byrd.
Yes.
DeCambra.
Yes.
Demott.
Yes.
Sights.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Atchison.
Yes. Motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item up is Environmental Service Systems Research Institute. So item 10H. Ms. Byrd?
I move based on the recommendation of the city manager to determine that the public interest would be best served by accepting the sole source contract with Environmental Systems Research Institute for software licensing for the citywide geographic information system in amounts not to exceed $56,938 for 2019, not to exceed $56,938 for 2020, and not to exceed $56,938 for 2021.
Second.
Ms. DeCambra, I have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on this item? Not, this is a vote with your buttons, please. And item 10H is passed on a 6-0 vote. Next item up is item 10I. Ms. Scully?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move, based on the recommendation of the city manager, to find that the public interest will be best served by a negotiated contract with the Roy Law Firm, LLC, for guardian ad litem services, litem, thank you, services at the municipal court on an as-needed basis for an expenditure amount not to exceed $10,000.
Mr. Demont?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or discussion on this item by any member of the council? Seeing none, this is a vote with your buttons, please. And this motion carries with a 6-0 vote. Next item up is item 10J. Ms. Seitz?
Thank you. I move based on the recommendation of the city manager to determine that the public interest will be best served by authorizing the city manager to execute a 2-year sole source contract with Carlson, Hammond, and Paddock LLC for special water council legal services in amounts not to exceed $475,000 for 2019 and not to exceed $600,000 for 2020.
Mr. Demont?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on item 10J. Are any questions by council? None, this is vote with your buttons, please. And this one also passes on a 6-0 vote. Next item up is item 10K. Someone like to make the motion? Mr. Cameron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move based on the recommendation of the city manager to determine that the public interest will be best served by authorizing the city manager to execute a 2-year sole source contract with Ecological Resource Consultants, Inc. for water resources engineering services in an amount not to exceed $110,000 for 2019 and not to exceed $110,000 for 2020.
Ms. Seitz?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion by council at this time on item 10K? Seeing none, all those will please vote with your light. And item 10K is carried with a 6-0 vote. Next item up is item 10L. Ms. Scully?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move based on the recommendation of the city manager to determine that the public interest will best be served by authorizing the city manager to execute a 2-year sole source contract with Hydros Consulting, Inc. for updating the water supply planning model in an amount not to exceed $110,000 for 2019 and not to exceed $110,000 for 2020.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any comments or questions from council on item 10L? Seeing none, with your lights, please. Okay. Motion is carried on a 6-0 vote. Next item up is old business, is item 11A. This is Council's Bill number 43. Mr. Canberra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to pass Councilor's Bill number 43 on second reading, authorizing the city manager to execute a finance agreement with Aspire Westminster Apartments LLC, an affiliate of Sherman Associates, Inc., and Aspire Westminster Borough LLC, an affiliate of Sherman Associates, Inc., and Westminster Economic Development Authority in substantially the same form as presented to council for the development of Lot 2 of Block B3 in downtown Westminster.
Ms. Seitz?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on item 11A? Mr. Demont?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to reiterate that I do not believe that this is in the interest of the people of Westminster to spend their money this way.
And as I have previously voted on this, I think this is way too much of an incentive package for market rate housing, and I'm not at all convinced that this is still a good deal for the city. Market rate housing is one thing. There's no low income or workforce income housing involved in this, and I'm not sure what the leasing occupants are looking like for this property. So in my opinion, I've still stated this previously, I don't think this is a good deal, especially with the amount of money that's involved from its entitlement coming in our incentive package on this project. So I will be voting no on this item as well. Ms. Seitz, you have a comment?
I do. Thank you both for your concern about being judicious with the taxpayers' dollars. However, I am completely satisfied by the recommendations of both our economic development, our team of consultants that we have worked with on this site, and the recommendation of my city manager that this is in fact a catalyst project, that we need this density and this mix of income levels to help support the retail and the vibrancy and the resiliency of this project. And so this is a very similar package to what we had previously agreed on supporting. And the reason that it has changed slightly and included the loan was because of delays that the city encouraged. We actually wanted this to be the second phase development, and all of us that are in the Front Range know that we have had a bit of a development boom, and so costs of construction have gone up. So we really appreciate that this developer is a first in, trusted our vision, chose to invest in Westminster, and I know that this will be the catalyst project to be successful. That is why I'm voting yes.
Other comments from council? Seeing no other comments, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Parker?
DeCambra.
Yes.
Demott.
No.
Sights.
Yes.
Scully.
Yes.
Atchison.
No.
Byrd.
Yes.
Motion carries on a 4-2 vote. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the business of the Westminster City Council. We will reconvene in about 5 minutes, and we will continue with the previously started executive session. Following that, we will open the session back up to the public to listen to the comments and discussion regarding the vacancies that we will potentially be seeing in the month of January and the process that we will be using. So at this point, we are adjourned.